You have 25, maybe 30 years of experience. You've led teams, managed budgets, and navigated crises that would make a 25-year-old CEO crumble. Yet when you apply for a job today, silence. Or worse, you're told you're overqualified. I experienced exactly that after leaving a corporate job 6 years ago. Let's be brutally honest. Overqualified is often just a polite code word for too old. Welcome to the Ageism Survival Guide. Today, we aren't just defining a word, ageism. We're dissecting a system that is actively trying to push you out of the workforce before you're ready to leave. If you're struggling with a career after 50 or feeling the sting of age bias, you're not crazy, and you're not alone. Let's talk about what ageism actually is. So, what is ageism? It's not just a feeling, it's a recognized form of bigotry. The term was actually coined back in 1969 by a gerontologist named Robert Butler. He explicitly paralleled it to racism and sexism. Butler defined it as a systematic stereotyping and discrimination against people simply because they're older. But here's the kicker. In 1969, old often meant well over 65 plus. Today, in the modern tech-driven economy, age discrimination starts creeping in at 40. Yes, 40. It's the assumption that because you have gray hair, you can't learn new software or learn at all. And I call bullshit. Just to be on this channel and other podcast channels, I had to learn a host of new digital skills that I'm sure would confound many people half my age. It's also the assumption that because you may have a pension, you don't need the paycheck. None of their business. It's prejudice, plain and simple. Now, let's allow our anger to show through for just a minute. How does this discrimination show up in hiring practices? It's rarely someone saying, we don't hire over 50, because that's illegal under the Age Discrimination and Employment Act. Instead, it's a coded language. Have you seen a job ad asking for a digital native? That's code for born after 1990. Have you seen postings demanding high energy or fast paced? That's often code for, we want someone young who is willing to work 80 hours a week for low pay. Ageism in hiring is when your resume is tossed out because you dared to list your graduation year. It's when you get passed over for training because the boss thinks, she'll retire soon anyway. It's when teams are formed and they exclude the older workers. It's a systematic devaluing of our wisdom in favor of cheap speed. Why does this disproportionately impact the 49 to 65 demographic? This is the danger zone for us. You're too young to retire, but considered too old to be a long-term investment by short-sighted companies who can't think past the current quarter. It's a financial decision for them and a life-altering impact for us. The data are terrifying. Statistics show that once a worker over 50 loses a job, they remain unemployed 3 times longer than younger counterparts. 3 times. You're supposed to be in the peak earning years of your life, yet you're the most vulnerable to corporate restructuring and layoffs because you likely have a higher salary. Companies aren't just removing old people, they're removing expensive people. And that puts a bullseye on our backs because they evaluate us for our cost, but ignore our benefit. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the cost of this. It isn't just about the paycheck, though the financial consequences of forced early retirement can be devastating to your pension and savings. No, it's the emotional toll. It's the feeling of invisibility, to walk into a room and feel like your decades of experience are suddenly worth nothing. That hurts. It leads to depression, loss of identity, and isolation. Looking at yourself in the mirror with a diminished sense of being. If you're feeling this, Please know, your value as a human being is certainly not defined by a hiring manager who can't see past your birth date in the 4.7 seconds they look at your resume, or who hides behind one of those ATS-AI filters. No, your value is defined by you, your family, and your friends. So why is this critical to discuss in today's job environment? Because the workforce is aging and companies are unprepared. Their short-sightedness will hinder their growth in the future. But in the present, we simply cannot let them push us into the shadows. Ageism is real, but so is our resilience. Look, many of us are Gen Xers who grew up fending for ourselves in the 80s and 90s. We have to learn to navigate this new terrain like we always have. We have to learn how to age-proof our resumes and fight back against age bias. But that's for another episode. If you're ready to take back control, hit the subscribe button. We're building a community here at the Ageism Survival Guide, and I want you with us. And be sure to join the discussion on the Discord app. Sure, that app is used by young gamers, but this is a first step to learning new tools and keeping relevant. The link to the Discord server is in the notes below. As they say, youth runs fast, but age knows the terrain. See you in the next episode where we get into the 5 phases of grief following job loss.